up? It's Joe Ready from Ready's Rides. I'm back here at Walker Ford, sunny Clearwater, Florida, and really the big question of the day is when it comes to pre-owned drop-top Camaros and Mustangs, what are we looking at when we're looking at a car that is a few years old and has a few tens of thousands of miles on it? We're going to see, well, which way would you go comparing a 2014, that S197 chassis Mustang V6 convertible, to a 2015 Camaro convertible with the V6. So if you've been living under a rock or just new to cars, there's been a war going on since the 1960s, and it really was the pony car war. It was started with the Mustang, 1964 and a half. By 1967, Chevy, they were late to the party, but they joined the fray, and it's just been continuation after that. Both of these cars, so close, so similar when it comes to performance, when it comes to amenities, but we're gonna see, hey, if it was your money, what are you gonna buy at the end of the day for these two drop tops? Let's go ahead, we're gonna start with the older car, the 2014, this Mustang with that 3.7 liter V6. So I think many of you would agree with me that really the styling was spot on for 2014. This is the final year of the S197 chassis, started all the way back in 2005. I love the classic lines of this car with the newer look. The headlight design, really love the style as you drop down. Now, this car, we're gonna zonk it. There's fake vents, but they do look pretty good the way that they've been put on the front bumper. That classic opening of the Mustang grille. There's our chrome pony. And I like what they did on this particular one, the flat black grille, same design all the way across with a little bit of lip spoiler just to give it a little extra look. As we transition to the Camaro, coming across the front, there it is, that Chevy bow tie. Remember in 2010, when they came back out with the Camaro, they did that whole retro design with the 21st century flair that was really started with that Ford Mustang on that S197 chassis. I really like the lines back then on this 2015. You have your traditional upper portion of the grille here, and as you work your way down, a little bit different design, but you know what? It works and it looks like a Camaro. You have two fog lights, which is something that we did not have on that Mustang over here. So we have actual functioning fog lights. And then as you go up onto the hood, I really love the body lines that start here right at the end and then go up onto the whole hood. And it almost has like a cow induction look to it. Very, very similar to the Mustang over here. As you follow that body line, it goes all the way back. Really like that touch. Let's go ahead. We're going to compare the two sides of these Mustangs. Let's keep it going. We're going to go ahead and take a look at this 2014. So standard wheel. This is a 17-inch wheel. Whoever owned this before, this has been either powder coated or had some type of spray done to it to black it out. But I think I would have just kept well enough alone and left it silver. As we go down the lines, you can see this car, both of them have about 50,000 miles. This gives you a little idea of what's the car going to look like after you've driven it those many miles. Still looks great. Black is so hard to keep up with, but done very well. One thing I'm going to zonk on the side is I don't like the flat black on the mirror. I wish they would have took the paint and brought it over here up onto the mirror. Classic convertible look though. I mean, from a million miles away, even with you squinting and your eyes crossed, you know that this is a Mustang. That's a no-brainer, and that's I like about the car. As we work our way back, I hate this. Zonking this, even on the newer Mustangs. Yes, there's a cover that you could snap in. I don't want that. I want a top that when you drop it, it's got a nice tonneau cover and everything looks really smooth and whatnot, but it still looks like a classic Mustang convertible because remember, that's how the tops were. You have this guy right here, which is a little annoying. 2014, they needed to do something with that. But coming around the back, this is where they hit the nail on the head. This is probably my favorite rear end on a newer generation Mustang. Love the LED lighting, that tri-bar, and I really like how they integrated the reverse lights into it. Really just stands out, especially at night. the back of this car really works so well. I'm not the biggest fan of this flat black ribbed area around the license plate. That's the one thing that turns me off. But I do like this lower area that's sectioned off. And then I'm glad that they went with just a single exhaust on each side for the V6. You have your simulated gas cap cover. Remember, back in the day, you would unscrew it and you'd fill up here. Let's go ahead and check out the sides and the back of that Camaro over there. All right, guys, time to check out the side and the rear of this 2015 Chevy Camaro convertible. As we come around the bend, I like the body line. They really hit the nail on the head with trying to get this to look like the older Camaros. 18-inch wheels, so the difference. 1 year separating this car, you're gonna get an 18-inch wheel. Nice finish on it. I'm not really digging the style, but you know what? At this price point, this is what you're gonna get. And really, whoever owned this, they didn't curb this wheel at all, so good job to them. A lot of times with 50,000 miles, these wheels have seen every curb from here all the way to Arizona. But as we go down the side, like the Camaro script, one thing that I do like that they're putting on the newer Camaros is the red, white, and blue tag on the side. I think that adds an extra tie back to the 1960s. This car, when it first came out in 2010, it looked just like the concept car Camaro that they were using. Very stylish and aerodynamic side mirrors. We'll see when we get behind the wheel, can we actually see anything from these mirrors. When we get to the rear, this is what I was telling you about. So this one being a 2015, being the base one, doesn't have a tonneau cover on it. If you go newer, they have the tonneau cover. So I'm gonna zonk this. The only reason why it's not gonna be as hardcore as a zonk as the 2014 is that it sits much lower in the housing for it. That Camaro, that Mustang over there sat too high. As we work our way back, loving the lines, the flared out fender, even though this is the V6, coming around to the rear, and a very stylish, simple, not too aggressive, just right trunk lid spoiler. It's got a little bit of faux carbon fiber around the edge, and I really like this taillight design. Now, my favorite's the 2010 with the individual round taillights. This is my second. The newer ones I'm not really loving, so I think that was a step backwards. For whatever reason, Chevy does very simple diffuser on the rear end, nothing really to write home about. And then you're gonna have that dual exhaust, very similar to the Mustang over there with our Chevy bow tie. But let's go ahead and pop the hoods and see the two V6 engines underneath these cars. All right, guys, pop the hoods. Now, obviously, I know all of you would like to see V8s under the hood. These, what I had accessible to me, are going to be the V6s. So underneath the hood of this 2014 Mustang, that's that 3.7 liter V6 engine, naturally aspirated. What we're looking at, it's mated to a 6-speed automatic transmission, 305 horsepower, 280 foot-pounds of torque. MPGs, you're looking around 19 in the city, 29 on the highway, and this Camaro weighs in around 3,600 pounds, 0 to 60, 5.8 seconds, quarter mile in 14.4. As we transition to the Camaro side of things, like I said, we have another V6. So this is going to be, in the Camaro, a 3.6 liter V6, more horsepower, 323 horsepower, less torque, 2 pounds, foot less of torque. That's going to be 278 foot-pounds. It's mated to a 6-speed automatic transmission, 19 in the city, 30 on the highway, and it weighs in around 3,700 pounds, 0 to 60 in 5.7 seconds, quarter mile in 14.1. So you can see that these two rivals spot on when it comes to performance. Another thing I want to point out, we have to zonk the Mustang. Pop rod, if you buy a brand new one here at Walker Ford, still using the pop rod. On the Camaro, we have a nice single hood strut. It is interesting to see though, because these are convertibles, to kind of stiffen up the front end of the car, they have the strut tower brace across both of these. But let's go ahead and fire up these V6s and see what they sound like. Alright guys, we're going to start off with the 2014 Mustang. Let's go in to the interior. You can see the door panels still looking good. Remember, this car has almost 60,000 miles on it. Still looking good. It's a sea of black, but this was 2014. Things have moved on from there. Harder plastic all around the door. The armrest is a softer material, and I promise you it's hot as heck sitting in the sun here in sunny Clearwater, Florida. Soft material on the dash. You can see that continuation of the dual cowl look to the Mustang. I do like the flat panel here. It is harder plastic, but it's got a nice look to it. The chrome finish around the AC vents. This is interesting. You could get your radar detector and you have your 12 volt hooked up right there. I think that's really smart. This is what you were stuck with back in 2014 on this car. No big, huge infotainment screen, everything slim and trim, and then a sea of buttons. I'm going to judge this back in 2014 terms. Not so bad. 2019, this is terrible. But it is what it is. You have leather on the shifter. This is going to get you through that automatic 6-speed. Chrome finish around. The good old-fashioned e-brake. I like the way they have a nice cover for the cup holder. And then this armrest, it's not much of an armrest. It kind of sucks. To be honest with you. And to open it up, you do have some room in there, but other than that, there's no actual USB or anything like that. Seats, simple cloth, but look, they wore really well. And I think that's one thing to take away. A lot of times we like to look at the cars when they're new. What are they going to look like when they get to almost 60,000 miles? Why don't you come on, swing on over, and I'll show you the business end on this side. All right, guys, obviously, if we're going to talk convertible, we need to talk about putting that top up and down. It's real simple. You have a two-way button right here. You can see the top raises. It's a little bit on the slower side, but remember, this is 2014, 55,000 miles. One thing I hate about the convertibles in this Mustang is I hate these latches that you have to undo on both sides and then hit the button. It would be nice not to have those there. Now, when it comes to the steering wheel, I love the size, I love the shape. There's our traditional Mustang. Remember, for 2018, they updated the pony. I like the gauges. They look very classic, but they're very simple. There's no oil pressure or anything like that there, but I like the classic font on them. This does have a key ignition because it is just a base V6 convertible, but let's go ahead. Seats are actually comfortable before we say anything else. Manual control, but the seats are very comfortable. They've worn well. Back seat area. It's going to be on the tighter side. You know, it is what it is when it comes to a convertible, but you can put 4 adults in here, and they will be comfortable for a little while. You're driving, so what do you care, right? Let's go ahead and check out the Camaro. All right, guys, we're sitting inside this 2015 Camaro. This car has about 60,000 miles. Let's see what the wear is like. Let's go to the door panel. So once again, a lot of black. I don't really like that cloth material on the back portion, but guess what? It's worn really well for this type of material. So I am impressed with that. You have a chrome door handle opener there to get in and out of the door, and it kind of breaks up the black. When you come to the dash, everything is forward, and the windshield, this is gonna be one of the shortest windshields on any car. Harder material up top, softer material down here. You have your AC vents, one on the corner there, and then this being a 2015 has an actual infotainment system that is something more than obviously that 2014. Very interesting, the type of AC knobs that they have, and what's interesting is that when you go through the AC controls, it does show up on the screen here, which is a nice touch, which you're not gonna have that in that Mustang over here. Here's our leather wrapped, almost looks like a baseball leather wrapped shifter for that 6-speed. You got a little cubby here, which is nice. 2 cup holders with no cover, and then you have an armrest. When you open up the armrest, you do have a USB and you do have a 12 volt. Everything is back here though, nothing up there. Good old fashioned e-brake, nothing to be seen here. And then here are the seats, worn very well, just like on the Mustang with all those miles, still looking good. why don't you come on over here to the business end and I'll show you the steering wheel side. All right guys, business end, just like on the Mustang, it's a toggle switch up here to make the top go up. So we just hold it down and you can see 60,000 miles. It's taking a little bit of time, but it is going. The motor's very noisy, but it is getting the top all the way up. I could probably go get some ice cream right now, so I might be back in a second. Now this one has a center lockdown to lock the actual top down compared to those two side ones on the Camaro. But once you do that, then it just goes right back. I'm gonna continue talking though, because we don't have enough time to film all that. Steering wheel side, nice classic look. You got the Chevrolet bow tie. I like the contrast stitching around the wheel here. And I also like the thumb controls, which is very nice. When it comes to the dash, it's cool how they took 21st century flair with that old feel from the 1960s Camaro. So you have that analog speedometer, tachometer, and then you have that digital display in the center that you could toggle through to see all different types of things that are going on there with oil life and all that good stuff. Overall, once again, the seats are very comfortable. The bottom portion really hugs your hamstrings a lot more than that Mustang. Back seat, very tight. That's going to definitely be tighter than in the Mustang. So if you're going to be a backseat passenger, you definitely want to get into your friend's Mustang, not in the Camaro. But let's go ahead and check out the trunk space of these two convertibles. All right guys, time to check out what can you put in the trunk of a convertible with this 2014 Mustang. This one in particular, it does have a key ignition and you do have a button to release that trunk. It's actually quite surprising. On the Mustang, pretty good opening, and there's a lot of room even with the top down, which is very, very nice to see, because a lot of times once that top goes down, there goes your real estate in the back area. So this car would really be perfect for that getaway vacation. Put a couple pieces of luggage in there and you're off. Let's go ahead and check out what the Camaro has to offer. All right guys, time to check out what can we put in the trunk of a Camaro convertible. Get ready for the zonks, because here it is. The only thing you can fit in there is a zonk. The opening is very small. With the top down, there's practically no room. I don't understand why with this car, they know people are gonna want a road trip in it, and they're gonna need to have at least one change of clothes, maybe an extra pair of underwear. I don't know if you can fit it back here, but that's definitely gonna be the biggest zonk. But since we're talking about getting on the road and taking a road trip, let's take these two convertibles for a spin. Guys, we're in the 2014 Mustang convertible, the V6, rolling out of Walker Ford. Remember, this car has almost 60,000 miles on it, and so far, so good. Everything's nice and quiet. You know, sometimes with convertibles especially, there could be a lot more flexing in the frame, but I'm not feeling that. Let me go ahead and get on the loud pedal. It still has plenty of life in it. The 6-speed was a little slow to downshift, but remember, this car is 5 years old. Very surprised though when it comes to shakes or rattles. Very, very quiet. Steering wheel feels really good. No weird vibrations or anything like that. And I definitely like the layout of the gauges. They're very easy to see at a quick glance. And I like the classic font on them. It really ties it back to those early Mustangs. Seats are comfortable. We got the AC on. And just really a nice car to cruise in. Yes, it doesn't have that muscle car oomph that muscle cars are known for, but it's nice to have options for different people who either don't want a V8, can't afford a V8, can't afford the insurance on a V8, whatever the story may be. With this 3.7 though, over 300 horsepower, it's a nice cruising engine and really quiet on the sound in a good way. You're not going to get the V8 rumble, but if you're expecting that out of a V6, you're really barking up the wrong tree. Visibility with the top down obviously is a cinch. Top up, back windows definitely larger than on the Camaro, but still overall, the way that the fit and finish is in this Mustang, things have gotten even better. But even for a 2014, everything is still nice and sturdy. Like I said, there's nothing really creaking or anything like that, which is a good sign. All right, guys, driving on to this highway, merging on, very easy. If you need to change lanes, you just drop down. That 3.7 does its job and gets going. And to be honest with you, for a car that is 5 years old, that 6-speed automatic is working really well. What I kind of like is that with the steering wheel, it's very simple. There's no paddles behind it or any of that mumbo jumbo. So it's nice and clean, easy to grab onto, and just a nice car to just drive around and be in the Florida sun. Over bumps, nice and smooth. The steering has got a great feel to it, a great weight to it. So that's good, and I'm telling you that it tracks nice and true, straight and true. The mirrors are a little bit on the small side, but that's like that with every Mustang. What's nice is that Ford puts those little extra mirrors in there to give you a wider look. But we're gonna go ahead and see what these brakes feel like. Remember the wheels, 17-inch wheel into this left bend here. On the brakes, pedal feels great. Tip it in. Nice and smooth, nice and easy. As we come out of the turn, roll on the throttle. Takes a second for it to drop down. But once you get going, she'll pull, and hey, she'll get you a speeding ticket if you're doing it in the wrong place. I promise you that, even without the V8. Of course, you're not going to get much sound coming from the back of the car, but I know plenty of people that have V6 Mustangs. Not that I know them personally, I've heard them because they've changed out the exhaust to something really loud and obnoxious. You can do that with this car if that's what you wanted to. But as a car just to cruise around and enjoy, this one really hits the nail on the head. And you get those classic Mustang lines to it, which is very nice. Once again, into this left bend. Roll on throttle. Really smooth driving car. But I think it was great to have the Mustang and the Camaro together at the same time to really compare these two a little bit older down the line and see how they drive and whatnot. But we're gonna go ahead and make our way back to Walker Ford and hop into that 2015 Camaro and see if it's any more exciting, because remember, the Camaro at the end of the day does have more horsepower, a smidge less torque, but more horsepower. But even at highway speed, right now I'm doing about 60, quiet in here. I got all the windows up, tops down, and I know you can hear me clear as day on the video. So that's another nice thing about this, is that you're not gonna get buffeted by the wind beating up on you. The windshield comes up nice and high, and really a lot of air is not dropping down that turbulence that can sometimes happen with a convertible. We're gonna go ahead, this guy's testing out his brakes in front of us. They work, I'm gonna give him a thumbs up, and we're gonna go ahead and get back to Walker Ford and swap cars, so we'll be back in 1 second. Guys, we're leaving Walker Ford, we're in the 2015 Camaro. Remember, same setup, V6 to V6, convertible to convertible, and even almost the same mileage. Now remember, just like the Mustang, this has a 6-speed automatic transmission. One thing that I love about convertible Camaros is that you don't have a roof. Because remember, in a coupe Camaro, you have all those blind spots and it's really tight on you. With the top down, this windshield feels like it's a half-cut Speedster windshield. That's how low it is. And it's going to be interesting to see once we get up to speed how the difference in the wind buffeting is going to be. But overall, I like the gauge layout. You feel definitely a little bit more sunken in the Camaro compared to the Mustang. Sight line though above the hood is almost spot on, just like in the Mustang. Same kind of creases on the hood give you pretty good view across the whole hood. The Camaro's hood is just a little bit more curved rather than the Mustang's is a little bit flatter level wise. But overall, I do like how on the 2015 they do have some type of infotainment screen instead of that little LED digital display that's on the Mustang. That's nice to see. You have that new way of running your AC setup that they first introduced on these Camaros. And then overall, the steering wheel feels great. This one has paddle shifters if you want to manually shift your automatic transmission, but still very comfortable. Another thing I noticed is that as a driver, your legs are a little bit more laid out. Because you're sitting lower and getting to those pedals, it's a little bit more of a reclined seating position rather than sitting up a little bit higher in the Mustang. We're gonna go ahead and get on the loud pedal a little bit just to give you an idea. Drops down and we're off. Remember, over 320 horsepower, nice and smooth, still has plenty of life in it and no vibration. So it's great to see that both cars, even with 60,000 miles on them, still running very well. And a lot of times, you know, that's when the engine starts to loosen up a little bit, and the performance is actually, you compare them side by side, is very, very similar. So that's really good to see. Mirrors, same story. They're more for style than they are for function. So size-wise, they're really small. But whoever owned this before put those extra mirrors that come standard on the Mustang, those little corner mirrors to give you a little bit wider look. One thing I'm not a big fan of is the center console area. I think that on the Mustang, it's a little bit more finished off with the cover over the cup holders and whatnot. But other than that, remember, this is just your base V6 convertible Mustang. So everything else, I like the extra silver that they've added to the interior and that old school look to the instrumentation. Guys, rolling away, engine's quiet, cabin is quiet. I'm noticing more buffeting on the top of my head because of the slant of the windshield as we're merging on. You still got plenty of power to get you going, and it really isn't a slouch, you know. With this size V6 and that kind of horsepower, you go back to the 60s, the V8 Mustangs didn't have that. Those early Mustangs, you know, with the V8s in them, didn't have that much horsepower compared to what they have today. So it's not like you're struggling with 175 horsepower out of the V6, but very smooth riding. Just a little bit more buffeting than what you're gonna find in the Mustang, and it all comes down to the height of the windshield. That's gonna play a big role. I do kind of feel a little bit more quote-unquote sporty in this car just because of the way that my legs are almost totally straight out in front of me, almost like as if I was in a Corvette or something like that. Over the bumps, over the transitions, everything is very solid. It's not creaking, no rattles. Very smooth driving car. And I can see somebody who wants something that's a great beach cruiser or something just to go around town and have that top down fun in a Camaro. This is really a great price point to come into, and obviously still plenty of miles that you could add on to the car. I do like the gauges a little bit better in the Mustang, but I do like the infotainment better in the Camaro because it actually has some type of infotainment, whereas the Mustang really doesn't have anything. Let's go ahead and see how it handles in this left-hand bend here. On the brakes, remember this has 18-inch wheels around the bend, nice and smooth. On the throttle, you can definitely feel the quicker acceleration in the Camaro, but still that 6-speed in this car is very, very slow to downshift. And I'm noticing just a tad bit of whine coming from it, but nothing major. Still, exhaust is very quiet on the V6. You can change that if you want to get more sound. What I do like about this particular Camaro, it does have a frameless rear view mirror, so that's a very nice touch. Pitch it in this left-hand bend. Track's very nice. On throttle. Nice and smooth, and you know what? it really is crazy just how close these two competitors are when it comes to what they have to offer performance-wise and when it comes to certain features in the car. We're gonna go ahead and wrap this up. We'll get back to Walker Ford, so we'll see you in a split second. All right, guys, it's been a wonderful day here at Walker Ford. Definitely got to give a huge shout out and a thank you to Frank Walker, Weston Walker, Tracy, Benji, Mark, Austin. Everybody here is just so accommodating. Really, the answer is up to you which way you would go with your pre-owned convertible. Are you going to go the Mustang? Are you going to go the Camaro? I'm just glad we were able to get these two together to say, hey, what do these cars look like 50,000, 60,000 miles later? But if you like to see these types of comparisons on Rady's Rides, leave a comment in that comment section. If you're new to the channel and you're on your way out, hit the subscribe button. I promise you it's worthwhile coming back for more. If you are a subscriber, thank you for being part of the Rady's Rides family. Check out all my different forms of social media. You know what they're called. If you want to get yourself some merch, click that link in the description. Takes you right to Spreadshirt. Obviously, we got to thank the man of the hour, Tom Moschner. He loves convertible cars. He's actually going to go and get one probably after this filming. Maybe one of these. But we'll see. Thanks, Tom, for all your hard work. And just like always, guys, I'll see you on the next ride.